Hello, welcome to Vlogmas day 4. I'm 4 days in. I'm actually really proud of myself because Vlogmas is a lot of work and I had stuff pre-recorded because I knew that Vlogmas was going to be a lot of work. And I knew that with my own lifestyle and the way that life goes for me, I wasn't going to be able to do like record this day, edit, get posted the next day, or like even record the day before, get edited, post the next day. I knew that wasn't going to work for me. So I'm actually really glad that I have done it the way I have, despite being sick for a couple of days there. Today, we are going to be talking about my DNFs and my least favorite books of 2025. I'm going to be looking at my phone quite a bit because I have everything saved in Fable. That's the tracking app that I use. Let me preface this entire video by saying that reading is subjective. So if there's anything on this list that you absolutely love, that you're head over heels for, I love that for you. I love that for you because you read something and you really liked it, especially because some of these books are chunkier. So I'm glad that you read that many pages and you really liked it, by the way. I'm not saying any of these books are... No, I will be. I will be telling you that I think some of these books are really bad, but it's just my opinion. It's just my opinion on the book. I wouldn't judge somebody else for liking them, especially because some of the ones I didn't like, a lot of people love. Let's start with my DNFs because there's 12 of them. And when I say DNF, I mean, I tried to give the book a chance, like 10, 20, 30, 40%. Okay, so first up on the list for DNFs this year, The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. No, thank you. Last year I read The Night Road. It was a buddy read with a friend, and I read that. And the writing is accessible. I can say the same for The Nightingale. I think I got to like 50% of that one. Her writing is accessible. She knows how to tell a story. She knows how to introduce characters. My thing is, I don't like her characters. I don't. In The Night Road, we focused on one POV that was like really like the least important, the least interesting, but it's the one we were hyper fixated on, and it felt like the author wanted me to feel bad for this character. But because you kept shoving her in my face, I did the opposite and I just disliked her altogether. I felt like her reactions to things were just overly exaggerated. With The Nightingale, you follow a young woman who is a mother, Viviana, and her sister. I don't remember the sister's name. I'm sorry. I think it was like Isabel. I could be wrong. I'm probably wrong. Anyways, this is during World War II, so the men are off at war. It's just the women. Her sister comes to town and is staying with them. But her sister's very like combative and abrasive when it comes to the German soldiers that are occupying wherever it is they live. I think it's France, to be honest. I don't even remember the details of the story because I just have blocked it out of my mind. It just really irked me that this woman is a mom and her young daughter's life is repeatedly kind of put in danger as a result of her sister's actions and behaviors and speech, whatever. And to the point that I got to, the mom at no point was like, hey, yo, you're putting my kid's life at risk. I need you to stop. I need you to chill or you need to go. She never did that. And it really started to irritate me because the sister by herself was really annoying to me. Like every opportunity was a moment for her to like, I don't like this. I don't like you. You're bad. You're not a I get it. Okay. Like you don't have to do it so much. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to say it over and over again. It's like people who are like, I'm a good person. Well, if you keep saying it, it makes me think you maybe aren't. So there was that. There was that side of it. The sister was really, I just found her very irksome because she just kept doing things and it just felt like she was doing them for attention, which kind of for me went with her personality, to be honest. But then you have the mom who I feel like is just being, oh my God, uber passive aggressive, just like entirely too passive aggressive for somebody who is so focused on being a good wife and being a good mom and being a good homesteader. And you can't tell your sister, shut the fuck up. Like, it just pissed me off. I got to a point where I just couldn't anymore and I DNF'd it. But you know what really drove me mad about The Nightingale? When I talked about DNFing it, everybody, not everybody, but a vast majority of the people who are commenting and DMing me, telling me to just finish it. Just keep reading. You'll love it. Just keep going. No. It just really bothered me. And I feel like there's certain like fandoms, I guess I'll call them, for certain books and then for certain authors. They just take it too far. Y'all take it too far, and I don't like that energy because it's giving I'm not allowed to make my own choices. And yes, the fuck I am. I DNF The Nightingale. I'm not going to go back. I do have The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna that I might try. I'm not gonna lie though, I'm not in a rush because I just feel like maybe she's not the author for me. Kristen Hanna is like universally loved. Like that's why I was so excited about The Nightingale. Was so many people from so many different corners of the book community were talking about how much they loved The Nightingale that I was like, oh, I'm gonna love it. I'm gonna enjoy it. And then it just flopped for me. I don't know. Maybe if I kept reading, I would like it, but we're never going to find out, to be honest. All right, next up is Fledgling. I'm not even going to talk about this because this is a soft DNF. I do want to reread it. I tried reading it at the beginning of the year. I got it from the library, and it was just like, I felt like there was a lot of things in the pot. We were trying to cook with a lot of different ingredients, and the ingredients weren't making too much sense to me. But I did like some of the ingredients, and I was curious what we were going to make. I just didn't get there. So I think I'm going to pick that one back up again. We're not going to count that one. Jackal. That was a hard DNF. Sheldina, it was a buddy read with Sheldina. She did end up telling me what happened in the story. And it sounds like it would have been a really good story, like a lot of fun to, well, maybe not fun, but it would have been good. I'm very particular about children in my stories. I don't love the fact that we feel the need to put minors, small children especially, in stories and then it's just like constant violence and aggression towards the kids. I just don't understand the need for it. It bothers me. It's triggering. And Jackal is a story about young little black girls being brutalized. And I had it. I think we got to like the third victim and I was like, I'm not doing it anymore. I can't. I literally couldn't. It was making my stomach turn. The author does an entirely too good of a job with imagery. It was making my stomach turn. Now, will I read something else by this author? Yes. If it has to do with kids, probably not because I have trust issues now. But that's why I DNF Jackal. It wasn't because it was bad. It just, the content matter. I just couldn't. If the story is based off of that violence and I couldn't do it anymore. So next up on the list is When the Moon Hatched. It's really hard. It is very, very hard. I think it's impossible, in my opinion, to come up with a completely original idea in this day and age for a book. I just think you're asking too much at that point. Like, I don't know. There's so many things about When the Moon Hatched that felt done before. But like exactly like that, done before. But then there were aspects of the story that I was like, oh my God, I would love to see more of this. Like the world building and the dragons and the magic. I would have loved to see more of that. I would have loved for that to be the reason I kept reading. But I couldn't get past all of the moments where I was like, this reminds me of this. It was entirely too many moments to only be at the 50% mark. Another thing, why is that book so big? Why is that book so big? It doesn't need to be that big, in my opinion. Especially because that was another buddy read, a failed buddy read. I apologize for my buddies. That they told me what happened in the end. First of all, a good portion of what they said could have been cut out. Because it just sounded a little repetitive, in my opinion, from what they were saying. But also, like, why does the FMC talk like that? Like, you're in this whimsical, magical world. There's dragons. It almost feels like it's a little bit more, like, older versus like more modern. I don't know what the correct word for older in that sense would be, but why is she talking like that? She was talking like my niece and nephew when they were teenagers. And let me tell you something, every generation has their slang. Every generation has their own special dialect, I guess. I don't love to see such vulgarity and crassness in my fantasy books. I just don't love it. I don't love it when it's not done well, because you know what? I am reading Empire of the Vampire. I'm on the last book. Well, I have to read it still. And that is a very vulgar book, but at no point in time is it whimsical. At no point in time is it like dreamy. It's very much so like a grim, dark, life or death world. But with When the Moon Hatched, it felt like something else, and then you like inserted this character that doesn't quite fit. And my problem is that you created the character. You created the character and you created the world. So why don't they fit together? Does that make sense? That's why I didn't like When the Moon Hatched. Next up, The Butcher by Penelope Sky. I don't think I like Penelope Sky's writing style. I also don't love the way she portrays females. In this one, there's just like entirely too big of a power imbalance between the FMC and the MMC. I think it's like a Irish mafia romance or something. I don't know. I think it's a romance mafia. I don't know. Mafia romance. Point is, I just felt like the FMC in this one, she was just made to be entirely too meek and like backboneless. It just gives me the impression, and I didn't finish this one, but it gave me the impression that she was all the way down here, right? So then the MMC was going to be up here and he was going to drag her up there. And then we were going to have to be grateful for him to that. And I just, no thank you. DNF that one. Big Witch Energy by Molly Harper. She's a big witch. She's a plus size witch. Do you know how many times they talked about the size of her body in the small percentage of that book? I don't even think I made it to 40%. It was entirely too many references to her fucking body size. Look, I'm plus size. I'm big. I like to see me in books. I love to see my culture, my body type, whatever. I like to see representation when I'm reading. I think that is the purpose of reading, to put yourself in other people's shoes or to see yourself in a story, right? Some of them. You don't need to keep telling me that she's plus size. You also don't need to keep emphasizing that the reason someone could be attracted to her is because she's plus size and confident. Do you like her or not? What does it matter? It was too much for me. I didn't like it. I'm sorry. I don't love it when that's how we're using a person's body. Like, I don't love it when that's how you're representing plus size. To me, you're kind of, I don't know, like, it feels like, I don't know. That's not how I like to see my plus size representation. So I ended up DNFing that one pretty early. Terms and conditions. I think this is the one where, like, she's his secretary and he's about to lose his company and the only way he can keep it is if he gets married and has a kid, right? And she says, okay, well, you're my friend, except you're really fucking rude. You're my friend, so I'll marry you and I'll have your kid. I'll give up my career and my dreams so that I can help you get yours. Why? Why would you do that? And he's a dickhead. Why would you do that? I didn't like it. I did. Oh, I think the moment she, and it wasn't, I don't even think that was like 20%. The moment she said that she was willing to marry him and have his kids so that he could keep whatever he wanted to keep, that's when I was like, nope, I'm all set. Mafia and the Protector. I don't remember this one. I do remember Mafia and the Maid. That was a lot of fun. It was corny. The MMCs is like, he's in the mafia. Is Irish mafia? I don't know. He's in the mafia. And he's like this big brolic dude. He's like kind of like the bouncer guy who like gets rid of people when you want them to got rid of. What? Anyways, he was so like, he was so awkward and like derpy, but he still had like the mafia man thing, like, cause he was like mad big and like violent and like strong, but he was kind of a dork. I just thought it was cute. It was entertaining. It was a lot of fun. Mafia and the Protector, I don't remember, but I know I didn't like it obviously because I DNF'd it and I haven't read anything else from that series. I don't think I will, to be honest. Sometimes you have to know. Sometimes you have to know when to walk away, you know? Like, don't go back. The Savage by Daniela Romero. I have no idea why I DNF'd this, but I can tell you based on the description, it says Pac North University's notorious bad boy. I wasn't supposed to fall for him. Probably why I DNF'd it, to be honest. Fatal Goddess. Y'all, I had a lot of fun. I don't remember what the first two books are called, but it's part of the Shifted Fates series by Vasilisa Drake. So the first, it's a rejected mates series. So the girl, her mate rejects her and then they kill her and she gets sent to the underworld where she meets like the king of the underworld, I guess. But I think he's a shifter too. That's the impression I was getting. He was shifting. I don't know if he's a hybrid, but he was shifting. Anyways, she gets sent down there and he's like holding her hostage, but like in a really gentle way. It was really weird, but like nice. Let me tell you something. By the third book, whoa, get your words together. By the third book, her friend had run away twice. And this bitch keeps going after her. I'm like, hold on a second. Y'all are grown. Why do you keep chasing her? She clearly doesn't want to stay with you. Mind you, I think the first time she was kidnapped and she went to save her, so it makes sense. But then she leaves again, if I'm not mistaken, in the third book. And then she goes, like, the main FMC goes to get her. Even though she's not supposed to leave. Like, she needs to stay there because she's fucking dead. Like, I don't know why that wasn't clicking for her. It just got ridiculous. We're getting a little too silly, and I lost interest at that point. The Last Vampire actually pissed me off a little bit. That was an arc I got from NetGalley by Romina Garber. The writing, wonderful. The storytelling, immersive. She's really good with imagery. The lack of consent was kind of, I don't like that. I don't like it. I don't. So it's a boarding school. So I'm assuming that they're teenagers. If I'm not mistaken, they were teenagers. And it has to do with the vampire. I like vampire stories where they're adults because then the age gap feels a little less like for me. But I was overlooking it because it's an arc and I really liked the writing and I liked the premise of the story. This young girl goes to this boarding school and she ends up waking up a vampire. I think this is the last vampire based on the title. I didn't get that far. The first time they meet, he forces her and he drinks her blood. Like he forces her to give him her blood. Yeah, there we go. Two more times after, he starts stalking her, which I just thought was like, I don't think it was necessary. But anyways, he starts stalking her. I think he's trying to figure out how to get out of where he is or how to like figure out where he is in the first place. Two more times, he forces her to, well, he forces himself on her and drinks her blood. And there was an aspect of this blood drinking that was physiological. And I could just see what it was, or I kind of assumed, I shouldn't say I saw it. I assumed that what was going to happen is that at some point these two were going to decide they liked each other and then this like blood drinking thing wasn't going to be a bad thing. But hold on, you forced me 3 times before that. I don't like that energy. It just wasn't for me. It rubbed me the wrong way and I just didn't feel like continuing. But again, the writing was really good. I just think that issue of consent at the beginning was really rubbing me the wrong way. I think because they were kids. No, it just was rubbing me the wrong way. Nothing to do with their age. It's just like, bro, can you ask me first? Because like, what? It's mine. And then the last DNF that I have on here is Rebel Witch. This one might make some people sad. I read Crimson Moth. I liked it. I don't love the miscommunication trope / omission of information. Can y'all are doing so much talking. There's so much blabbing going on, but you're not saying the thing that you need to say. In the Crimson Moth, because it's novel, right? It's the first book in the series, in the duology. So this miscommunication, it's fresh. It's the first time we're seeing it in the story. And I think it was used well enough where I was able to finish the book and I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. Was it anything crazy? No, but it was fun. It was entertaining. I read really quickly too. The second book tried to do it again. The second book said, oh, you liked it in the first book, I'm going to keep doing it. I said, well, now hold on. I didn't like it that much, actually. I didn't enjoy it that much. I think I got to I don't think I got to 50%. I want to say maybe like 30-ish, 40%. And I can tell you at least 3 separate occasions where one of them heard the other one saying something and was offended by it, or it was the opposite of what had been said to each other's face, or they discovered something about the other that had been withheld previously but made a difference in real time, or and then they're talking to each other and instead of being like, okay, yeah, it's again the passive aggressiveness for me, and instead of being like, hey yo, I heard you say it when we was down there and that's messed up, that's not what you told me we were here for, instead of doing that they're like, oh no, everything's okay. And then as soon as the other turns their back, they're like, I'm gonna get this and I'm gonna do this, and I'm like, I can't do this for a second book. We can't do this 2 times over. No, I DNF'd it. I'm not doing it. What do you mean? Like, how much more can you omit from each other? How much can you miscommunicate? Enough is enough, okay? Enough is enough. And you know what I think it is? I didn't love the characters, so I think that kept me from putting up with the miscommunication / omission of information. I think that prevented me from maybe enjoying it a little bit more because I don't even remember their names, but I didn't like them. I didn't like them in the first one. They were just tolerable. And in the second one, I was fucking annoyed by them. Every time I saw their name pop up on the page, I wanted to flip the page, but then their name was there again because they're the main characters. Like, it was too much for me. I didn't like it. It was really aggravating, actually. Like, can y'all just talk to me? And the number of times they talk to each other, that's... I'm going to put my phone down. That's what really gets me. Y'all are going to have 13,000 conversations, right, in the first 30% of this book. But in none of these conversations are you going to call the other out on anything? Be so for real. I'm done. I tapped out of that one. Which sucks because I got those books from Blackwell's because I liked the UK covers more than the US covers. And I'm going to have to sell them. I need to get on Pango. And sell those books. Okay, now, I'm not going to hold that because I think the paper moving will make sounds to this. But if I glance that way, it's because I have a piece of paper where I wrote my least favorite books of 2025 on. My most controversial one, I think, possibly, I don't know, Nocticadia. It was so bad. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. I didn't mean to say that. I did mean to say it because I said it. It wasn't a bad book. For me, Nocticadia just felt like a very forced story. I loved the intro. I love the intro, getting to meet Lily, I think her name is. And she wants to know what this thing is that killed her mom. Like, you know, she has a goal, and her goal was actually really cool. And what she was like, her intelligence and how she was going to get to that goal. It was really cool, guys. It was really cool, and I was really interested. I was invested for that. But then she meets the professor. And then there's the scene with the video in the classroom, and it was downhill from there. It literally just like from there, and it never ever got better. It never went back to the beginning. I feel like the ending was just very loosey-goosey. It didn't really resolve anything. If anything, it just left me with a couple more questions. I shouldn't have finished the book, is the point. And for being such a long book, I feel like there was ample opportunity for us to answer certain questions, and they were just completely overlooked. I didn't love it. The vibes, yeah, they're there. It's a creepy book. It's a creepy, gothic, spooky, dark academia. It's all there. But the story itself was not executed well enough, in my opinion. So for me, it did not work. But I know that the book has so much love. There's so many people who adore it. And I love that for them because that's a big book. So you read that and you liked it. I'm real happy for you. And there was nothing like problematic in it, in my opinion. It just wasn't, I don't know. I just felt like the story was like left hanging, like over there. And I was over here. And I'm like, well, why did you go over there if I was over here? When were you going to tell me to join you? Next up, I won't talk too much about it because An Enchantment of Ravens pisses me off every time I see it. Every time I walk in the laundry room, it's sitting on the like baker's rack I have in there. And there's some books I need to unhaul. And it should be looking at me. And I look at her and I'm like, oh, fucking like you. Why you created all these boxes of elements to the story. And then you didn't check any of them off. It really irks me when I think about Enchantment of Ravens. You didn't check any of the boxes off. A part of me was ready to defend the book. I read that when I really wanted to be reading something else. It was a rage read. But, like, the plot holes weren't there. Like, you didn't make that book when I was waiting for that book was been out. So I just didn't like it. I just didn't like it at all. Okay, and then last one. Last one was another failed buddy read. My Sister, the Serial Killer. I read this with Sheldina, and I think, and she, I can't remember it. I should have texted her before this. She said what the genre of that book is. I thought it was a thriller. I thought it was a serial killer thriller. So I was expecting like gore and serial killer business. You know, like I was expecting that kind of thriller. It was a satirical something fiction. I will text her and I will edit it in because I'm sorry, I don't remember the specific like subgenre or whatever that she gave, but it wasn't a thriller. It was a speculative something fiction. That's what it was. Satirical. There we go. Speculative. It was a satirical speculative fiction. I did good. Anyways, I don't like that. It wasn't for me. It's about two sisters who have a really unhealthy, toxic relationship. One of them kills all her boyfriends and the other one covers up for her, but they don't, the younger one that kills the guys doesn't appreciate the cover-ups from the one, and then the mom is mean to the one that be doing all the cover. It just was unhealthy family dynamics without a reason. There was no reason, there was no cause, there was no resolution, and I didn't like it. But I think maybe I went into it with the wrong expectations, because I probably wouldn't have picked it up if I thought it was what I said, the satirical speculative. I wouldn't have picked it up, to be honest, because I don't like satirical. But this, like, purposely trying to poke fun at something wasn't funny. I think it was making fun of serial killer stories, but it didn't make fun of them very well because, or maybe I'm taking it personally because I like the serial killer thrillers. I don't know. I don't know what's going on in my head right now. I just know that I didn't like it. I'm done. I'm done hating on the books. Those are the books, those are my DNFs, and those are the books I disliked this year. It thankfully isn't a lot. I read 130 books at this point. That wasn't a lot if that's all I got, so I'm happy with it. relatively good reading year. Do you guys, so my curiosity is, do you guys count your DNFs for like towards your reading goal? I personally, if I get to a certain point, I count them. Like around 40, 50%, I'm counting the DNF. That's a good amount of reading time for me. I want it to count. But do you guys do that? Because I know there's some people who like they don't count their DNFs at all. Even if they get to like 99% and they DNF, they do not count that book towards their reading goal. So do you count your DNFs towards your reading goal? And like if you do or don't, what's your criteria if you have it? Like at what point do you count or not count them? Just curious because I don't know. Part of me is thinking like there's some of these books like The Nightingale and When the Moon Hatched. I read 50% of those books. They're huge. They're massive. I want the credit for reading 50% of those, even if I hated it. Like, you know what I mean? But then the other part of me is like, yeah, but you didn't finish it. I didn't finish them. And I only know the ending to some of them because I asked if I was in a buddy read. I was like, how does it end? Tell me. And they would tell me, but that's it. I don't know how The Nightingale ends. I don't really care to find out either, to be honest. But anyways, those are the books I've read. Those. I'm done. I told you I was done. Y'all need to cut me off. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you for putting up with the craziness that exists up in my head. And I will see you guys for Vlogmas Day 5. I'm really excited about the fact that I've gotten this far. I know it's cheesy, it's corny, but it makes me really happy and I'm proud of myself. So I will see you for the next video. And as always, happy reading.